the revenue operating account, but I also gave her the being able to stop payment on that, and I don't remember if we had that or not. So if we didn't have that, I need to take that off again. But right now, Linda doesn't have the stop payment. I just have Cassandra.
Why would Cassandra need stop payment? Just because I don't know.
If there was just on that account, if something was wrong and you called into her or something so that she could do it, since Linda's not here. I don't have Tiffany on there at all.
I mean, so if somebody raided our bank account, she could call and say,
stop the payment on something if you had talked to two of us.
Don't I still have View?
You have View, yeah. You have View of
you
everything.
should just put that on mine.
I can do that too. I just thought that because she handles the...
Yeah, because she's going to need Tiffany before she does anything anyway, and then we'll take it up.
Right, I just thought since she's the one actually handling stuff, but I'm not sure if it says that on the resolution, so if it doesn't, I need to fix it, and because I don't know who it says on the resolution. I don't think it says Linda either. So we need to just...
We got views only, but...
Yeah, we need to review the resolution, because right now, the only do stop payments is Brahma, or Director Nyman, and it may be good if he can't get on for some reason.
I still actually think that, for the extra stuff, why don't we just have two board members that have it? If two board members have stop payment, then we'll be able to get a hold of one or the other of you.
I mean, I'm admin, so I could always do that on mine.
Can all of you have stop payment? If you're all signers on the checks, you all could have it, and I'll get a hold of one of you five for sure if we need to stop payment on something. You don't have to.
I can do that, but who goes on the website regularly that can remember their password? So.
All right. Anyway,
that's why I thought maybe somebody here who uses it all the time.
Yeah, Cassandra's better because I never go on there.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's think about that, but I need to look at the resolution, and we may need to re-vote on that, and I may need to take her off for now. So that was that, and then the second thing is that I attended, and I guess I can talk about it under the ad hoc committee reports, but I'll just say now so you can kind of add it, because we just have meeting of local water companies. I attended the Lebec Tejon Castic, the very first meeting of the
groundwater sustainability.
Yes, the GSA.
The GSA.
I am tired, so I'll talk about it under 7.
Is that it?
Yep.
Treasurer, we have not done anything, any changes yet. I've got to get with Linda for probably next month, because I think we're only through October.
Yes.
And so then we'll have she'll have to give me the information on what transfers we need to make for each account. So that's something that I'll have to talk to Linda about, so we can get those set up for the year.
Correct.
And we'll probably be making, after we talk financials, we'll probably maybe make a transfer to the emergency reserve fund tonight. So.
Okay, sounds good. Member at large.
I have nothing.
Okay. Board member initiatives. Anything else that we need to bring up?
Nope.
Okay. Manager's report.
No, now we're going to number 10.
We're going to 10.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. 10. Johnny, you're still up, or somebody's up.
Yeah. Would you like me to lay out what's going on?
You should read it.
Yeah, you got to read it.
Discussion and vote on easement on lot 27, block 2, track 5.
Okay, Pierre, he lives up on Pico, and we have an easement that goes through his side lot. And we had a leak on the pipe, so we had to take down the fence and everything, but that's not the issue. But the issue is we realized that the pipe is not right along the property line, so Pierre was feeling like we ought to move it because of the easement that we got. He was hoping anyway, because it's not really sellable if the pipe's going right down the middle of the property, correct? So I talked to Ernest, I sent him the easement. Ernest, our attorney, says that it's not it's called a floating easement, which is not defined exactly where the pipe is located. So for legality's sake, it's fine where it is. So what I would recommend is that if it gets to a point where you want to do something with that lot, then we would work up with the board's approval, what it would cost you to move it to the center line of the property lines or something else, and then we could change the easement at that time, is what the attorney recommended was. Then it would be a prescriptive easement that's exactly where the pipe lies, so if you do sell your property, the side lot, or you build onto it, you'll know right where the pipe is.
And can you clarify as to why the line is going through the middle of the property?
It comes down from Wolf Tank.
So it comes from the back of your property to your house?
What it is, this is how it sits.
Is
Wolf
it a-
Tank is up here,
It's a transmission line,
Pico is down here,
Okay.
distribution line.
a distribution line, okay.
Right here about is where the pipe is run.
Mhm.
This is Pierre's house. This is the side lot. It runs
Okay.
down this hill all the way down to.
Okay,
Las
is this a property line there?
Well, see, according
What
to
is
the
that?
county, the yellow is the property lines, but as you know, every
It's
line is
wrong.
off
Mhm.
up here.
But
Well,
is-
yeah, it's wrong, but it's also accurate, but it doesn't change nothing because of the way they are. Because it shows like
Yeah, it
his
goes right
house,
through the middle of my
all
house,
these houses, the lots are going right through
The what
houses and
Oh,
stuff.
the
shit.
property line.
When they surveyed way back when, they went off a marker up in the National Forest is what I heard, and then when technology got better, they realized, hey, we're off by 4 feet or something throughout the whole town. But whatever it is, if you ever get to where you need that lot, we can move it over.
Well, yeah, just
In
follow
between.
that fence line or whatever. I mean, it looks like it's,
That's a culvert, that's a concrete, like a gutter.
oh, so we don't really know where the pipe
What-
is on this.
what
Well, we know
Size?
we know it's, yeah, not on this map. We know it's somewhere right in there because we just were looking at it when we had the leak, but
Okay,
Johnny, what size is it?
4-inch.
And that's distribution for who?
where do you get these pictures from? This is good.
Off the GIS map for Kern County, the website. So, it shows the pipe coming down right through here, but it doesn't show exactly the pressure zone other than it runs down, it looks like it runs down Pico, and I believe it dives down to Los Padres too, so. Like most pipes from the 60s, we don't know exactly where it feeds. We just know that it feeds, and if you shut that pipe off, it puts people out of water.
Which
Oh, this is
people?
crazy.
Pico Trail and
Probably some
down.
people on Pico and some other. The only way you could really decide what to do is you would have to shut it all the way off, which the valves are old and they don't shut all the way off. Then you would have to wait and see if somebody's gonna be out of water. Then you have to hope that you can get the valve shut off enough to where you can actually cut the pipe and move it. Because otherwise you're running water all down the hill
While you're trying to work on
while
the
you're
fix.
trying to move it. So it's not an easy fix, so unless there's a reason for the fix,
So that's
Yeah.
like a gravity fed stuff from Wolf.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
So weird it didn't run from, oh, well, I guess, yeah.
well, we got stuff like that all over town where it runs through and, luckily, surprisingly enough, this is one of the easements I actually found easily. So, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, all right, so, I'll just, a couple of things also, so that pipe that broke the other night behind my house.
Yeah.
Caused substantial damage to the road below, caused
Yeah.
substantial damage to, the water jumped where the rain normally goes around my gas meter and washed it all out, and the mud down the side of my house.
Yeah,
So
actually,
is
that
there
the one
anything
I
we
called
can
you
kind of
over?
maybe, I tried to call, as soon as I've, woke up in the middle of the night with this thing gushing down. And, so, I guess the fire department came up and a couple of people came up to try to figure that, might be good to have some kind of an emergency number.
what we do, if you call the office number, the answering service is supposed to answer. They didn't answer?
No.
Yeah, it's always worked every other time. I don't know why
Yeah.
this time it
All right,
didn't.
so I'm just saying, because,
Oh,
so, just in case.
is that when Linda was here and I asked her to transfer the calls?
No, it was.
Well, anyway,
Yeah,
so it didn't happen.
it didn't.
So it didn't
happen.
happen, so now
But since you
this-
brought that up, I could address another topic of that. There's multiple issues with that, with a person who lives up the hill. They feel like the water always used to run down through your yard, through your house. it ran mostly down his yard, down the hillside, and then down all the way down to Los Padres. I'm gonna cover it more in depth, by the claim form, but
Yeah.
there seems to be some discrepancy of where the natural water flow is. From there, we had a pipe leak farther up on Summit, and it went down the road and followed the natural water course,
Right.
and then it ended up dumping out at Mr. Dill's house, and then down through yours.
Well, it splits, like I said, basically
Yeah.
what had happened was that, that water, eventually with all the building of the houses and stuff like that there was no provision made at any time for the water flow. And basically what's happened is Mr. Dill, everybody slowly, water should be shared. Everybody should share it in the sense if water's coming down a hill in a situation like that. But they've all diverted it down to my property now, and I nearly lost my house about 8 years ago. That whole thing down on the other side there as a result of that water, kind of coming down there. So it should technically be shared, but I guess everybody's blocking it off to kind of come down. But I guess the force of that water was enough to, I guess, divert where it naturally should go. So some came down by me, some went down. Yeah,
Well,
like I said, I mean, it's.
I went up and I researched it. I hiked that way, and it looks like at one time all the water went down, or at least a substantial amount went down through Mr. Dill's.
Correct.
Because I see a bunch of concrete and a block and a bunch of stuff dumped down below to prevent erosion.
Correct.
And the water was going to be diverted during that leak by a resident, and was told by my lead man not to divert the water, because once you divert it, then it's going to be his responsibility.
Correct.
Because if it gets diverted all down your hill,
Correct.
now he's changed the way it runs. So now we're in this big thing where we're trying to figure out what to do, because I also seen signs that there was a 3/4 inch PVC pipe run across the road, cut through the asphalt, run across the road, and it seemed like the water followed right where that was put in. Like it was just backfilled loosely. The water took the path of least resistance like it always does. And it just started gouging out that hillside, and it gouged it out to where there's 6-8 foot trench
It's a crater.
We're on by Dill's side.
by Dill's.
Yeah.
And then it ran down farther to his other property down below, guys.
And gouged that guy's out and into the
2.5 feet of mud on Los Padres. So it's going to be a big issue, because I could fix Dill's. But since the water's taking its natural course, either it's going to be Dill delivering it to you, or you delivering it to Dill, or the person across the street apparently filled in a rut at one point, so everybody's battling over where this water's going to go. And I don't know what we're going to do about that.
Well, I think maybe what, the planning departments needs to take some responsibility, I think, with all these houses being built up there and never ever considering drainage.
Now, where's it going to go? Yeah.
In the sense of this has been a problem for a long time, like I said, almost like. So part of it comes down there by me, my share is fine, but I guess Mr. Dill and everybody now just diverting all the water, it's become so much that it's unmanageable now, in the sense of. So unfortunately, like I said, with that amount of water that came down now, it washed behind my meter. Normally it would just go, there is a swale there. Both Dean and myself, and I have a little swale down the side of my house, and it goes across the street, and generally it's fine, but now it's not. So I'm just saying, I'd just like to find out, as a result of the direct damage, basically to everybody around there, myself included, is there a possibility of maybe getting it graded, getting that mud taken out there, and maybe just trying to get it back to the way that it was, sort of.
Well, see, again, as far as where it was washed out on property, I would be willing to try to add dirt. But as far as trying to do anything on the road,
no, I didn't expect.
but then if you guys don't do something with the road, the first time it rains, it's going to go right down the same.
Well, the thing is, you see, normally it just goes, I made a little swale across my road there, because last time when the rains came, it washed everything out. If you take a look, there was like hundreds of yards of dirt washed out there.
Yeah.
And, with the first big rain, so I guess the water department came and filled it in because your pipe was exposed, that big one in the road there that came. And so I just made a swale across the road so I can follow that natural path when it comes down by me. But now, because of the amount, it went down this way. and my road is like a total mess. And then my Dill, and behind my electric meter, behind my gas meter, that's all gone. It followed the normal path there. So I don't know if you could maybe just try to see, just help me get it back to the way that
And
it was.
I would
at
like to
least.
do that. Right
And
now,
then,
we're
you know,
stuck, now since one person filed a claim, now he wants to withdraw his claim. I don't know if he's even allowed to withdraw it once it's filed. But he wants us to try to fix it, but if we try to fix it, he wants to retain the right to file a claim at a later time.
Oh, no.
I think it's either or, and as far as replacing stuff in yards and fixing the roads easy,
No,
that's
the
not
road,
ain't-
yeah, just.
well, Pico, that ain't a problem.
Pico, and then up behind, like I said, where it washed now, because instead of going down a little swell kind of the
Yeah.
way that now it comes behind my gate, it's washed all that out.
Yeah.
So maybe if you can maybe just get some rock or something in there, and then like I said, because come rain time, I'm always on it. I kind of watch it because I have to watch where it goes.
I don't know, I think that's gonna be a call for the board, because
Alright.
it's trying to manage the natural water course. I mean, granted, it was a pipe leak, you know, half a block away or a block away, but
Yeah.
it still followed the natural water course. And like I said, now there's been multiple people trying to change that water course up at
Correct.
the top.
Right.
So no matter, first of all, it's not our problem that it ran down like that. I mean,
Right.
it's not because of our fault.
Right.
And second of all, if we do fix it, the very first time we get a rain, it's just gonna wash out everything we did. Because people are still battling at the top. And if you remember, the reason why I'm reticent about starting this is because that red house where the old people live down in the hole across the street from your house, same thing happened. The people up at top decided they didn't want the water running into their yard, so they diverted it. Then it started going next to another guy's house, so he diverted it. Next thing you know, you got 8 feet of dirt on the backside of this old couple's house,
Correct.
and it condemned the house. So
Right.
I don't
That's-
really want to get in the middle of that type of scenario.
Well, I understand, but like I said, I still think it should be put back to the way that it was, at least on Pico. That the mud alongside my house and stuff like that just gets taken away.
Yeah.
And like I said, at the back where it's washed out, you know, that it filled, but filled with something that's not going to wash away. It needs to be rock or something like that. I'm not looking for a grand job. I'm just looking to try to get it back sort of to the way that it was. Because I've been taking care of this for 20 years, you know. Every winter time I come, I prep and I make sure like the course is going. But I know that Dill, I mean, those guys were grading streets up there. They were it's illegal to do that. They cannot divert that water down. So they are partly responsible, I'm sorry to say it, for that water coming down the street. And so issue needs to be taken with that. You know what I'm saying? Even the water going down by Dill, that kind of stuff there, those roads and stuff like that have been modified, and I think it's just time.
Well, that's kind of what I'm
Right.
getting at. We didn't modify anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my issue. We didn't modify nothing, but now we're left to deal with picking up the aftermath and trying to fix it. One problem is steep hillsides and access into the yard with equipment and things of that nature, and bringing in rock. I mean, really, that water, whether it's a storm or it's a pipe break a block away, it's still going to go the same way.
No,
It's gonna go the
I
same way every
disagree
time.
with that because, like I said, as a result.
Well, I'm telling you, we had to stop somebody from diverting the water all the way down to your house. That was the issue. So it's
Okay.
going to be a battle
No, I know it's going to
in
be
the
better.
future. So
But I'm just saying to you in the sense of that just, you know, like the way that the road is now, the way that the road, all the kind of damage that's done has never been done. Look, I've lived up here, you know, I've been up here a long time.
yeah, we've been up here forever. Yeah.
So, like I said, I know more or less in the sense of how the way it's been going since my house nearly washed away, you know, 10 years ago. As a result of that, it's been pretty consistent.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
So-
It's been a consistent, ongoing problem that had nothing to do with the water company. But now, the one time there is something, a pipe break, now the one time there is, we got to come back and try to fix things that have been happening for 20 years.
Yeah, but I'm not asking that. I'm just asking to put it back the way that it was.
I'll tell you, I'll come and
before.
look at it on Monday.
All right, yeah, please do. And
If you're not there, do
it's-
you care if I access your yard
No, no, of
anyway?
course. Yeah, go
Then
ahead.
I'll go ahead and I'll look and I'll see what we can do.
It's just mainly where that culvert comes out, there's all
Yeah.
mud collection, that's what happens, that mud come down so fast, it just piled up there. Then instead of going across the swale,
Yeah.
normally like wintertime I'll watch it.
Yeah,
And if it piles up or starts coming down, I take care of it, so it just goes and
yeah, absolutely. I
So,
agree.
so that's, and then just behind my meter, because now it's washed away, a whole thing there, so that needs to
The
be.
gas
filled.
meter,
Yeah.
is that hooked to your house or is it set
Yeah.
up?
No, it's working. It's working. Normally that little swale, it goes, it was built by Dean and.
And
like I
everybody
said-
knows, yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, it's just, it's.
Well, now the dean's not there, he's
No,
not taking care
Mr.
of that
Dean's
either.
not, yeah. So the new.
All right, yeah, I'll
Alright,
look
so
at it
that's
on Monday and then
Alright,
I'll
okay.
report back to the board as far as that
Alright,
goes.
great. And then now, okay, so now this right to way deed, yes, there is an easement. However, basically, it's in according to my attorney as well, it has to conform, when an easement is granted, it has to conform with what is granted, in the sense of like if an easement is to build a road alongside this house here or this building here, it has to be surveyed, so that basically if the easement is granted or any work is done on that easement, there has to be a record of survey. So in event that something happens like this 20 years later, you can go back to the record of survey, you can go back to the markers, you can go back and say, okay, yes, the pipe was, an easement was granted and the pipe was put where it was supposed to be. However, according to this, yes, the easement has been granted, and a 5-foot strip of land lying westerly and adjacent to the easterly line of block 26, which is on my property line, you're granted 5 feet to the west of that, as marked on the block of the recorder's office, blah blah. The right to trim trees, foliage, all that kind of stuff, maintenance, operational, which you guys can do. However, the pipe has to be within that easement. Now, and the reason for that being is that it doesn't compromise my vacant lot next door. Right now, it's absolutely worthless because you cannot build on it. You cannot build. I could do it any kind of structure as an architect. Just look, you can do structures, but again, if anything happens, you have to be able to remove it. So nothing can be permanent. I cannot build a house there. I cannot sell it. Nobody can ever build a house there the way that this pipe is now. If it had been put where it should be, according to this easement, adjacent to the property line, 5 feet, it'd be between my house and the lot there, allowing that lot still to be buildable and sellable as a buildable lot. So here's my concern. I go to bed the night before, the property is worth X amount of dollars. I wake up the next morning, it's worth zero. So, and I understand, like I said, the easement is granted. However, there is no record of survey. There is absolutely none. I went up to the recorder's office, I did check. The property was never surveyed to find out
Identify the
to identify, yeah, where, you know, the pipe is gonna be.
Now Ernest says that
So,
that interpretation is different than his. His is, it's a floating easement.
okay.
Anywhere within that property is legal, and if it's there anyway, I mean, at least if
Can
you
I just
that part.
read, yeah, can I?
Yeah, read that
So
part.
what Ernest wrote is, Johnny, you have what we refer to, excuse me, you have what we refer to as a floating easement, not defined where it is to be located on the parcel. The easement is broad across and through the parcel. I see no reason you would have to move the pipe. A compromise may be you move it at his expense along the edge with a new easement so he can use his property. If you didn't have written easement and it was evident in some fashion that there was a pipeline going across a property that had been there for over 5 years, you would have a case for a prescriptive easement. But absent landowners' cooperation, you would have to go to court.
That was a secondary thing I had asked him that didn't apply to that
Yeah,
part.
that's a
But
prescriptive easement.
my issue with the thing is that we have the legal easement. That's why I suggested that we go ahead, Jerry.
Well, I just read it, and it is described where it's supposed to be. It's a 5-foot strip of land lying westerly and adjacent to. That means right along the property line. It doesn't
There's no
float.
floating.
It's
It
not
doesn't say
floating, it's
floating.
tied down right by this
Okay.
description.
Now, what survey are we gonna go off of where it's at? Because that's the big problem. You've seen the map that's on there. So according to the county, you see how the lots are laid out. So how is anybody gonna know
Grandfather.
if that was in
Precedent.
1965, that was put in the correct spot?
Well, then you use whatever physical feature they use as a boundary line and go 5 feet off of that, because that's still gonna restrict the area of construction based on the realities of where the property is, not where the line is.
So
Now,
here's
look,
the,
see now,
here's the situation. If
if
I
we
may
move-
just
if we-
speak, please, Johnny?
yeah, go ahead, I was just gonna point out.
No,
something.
I'm just saying, but you haven't, you give me the floor for 1 second.
Alright,
So I'm just saying to you that, look, I understand the dilemma. I ever hear it, I'm arguing on 2 points. Number one, it is clearly defined, specifically, and that is what an easement is. It's a legal description. Secondly, there is no record at the building department, no marking on the map, absolutely nothing where this pipe should be or is, it's not there.
I doubt that it was ever staked.
No, it wasn't. And so basically now it runs right through the middle. So, you know, I mean, I understand the attorney and like, you know, when I'm going to sell it and if I'm going to sell it. These are 2 adjacent lots that face that side of the mountain. The value of the property is because these 2 lots are together, if anybody should want to build in 20 years' time or whatever. But like I said, this prevents me from doing this. So, like I said, and I would like to see a record of survey. That's the next thing, like I said, that they knew where they were putting this pipe in when they had it, and that is, there's no record of survey at all. So they did it where they wanted to, and it's in the wrong spot.
Okay, so if you can't get the record of survey, and the pipe is laying there, as far as I'm concerned, it was where it was supposed to be 1965. But even if it wasn't, and we try to move it, if you look at those problems on there, which is what I was trying to point out, now are we gonna move it according to their property, according to the county? Because in that case, it's gotta go farther out into the field, because his house is built right amongst multiple things. So I'm all for trying to help out the situation, but who's gonna pay for the survey?
Okay, so the thing with the county and those lines and the GIS
his
lines,
house, the pipe is running
that is
roughly right.
per satellite.
He thinks the
However,
property line is where the
there
culvert
are
is.
old
According
PLS
to the
markers
county, it's
in
over here,
town,
which
there
means
are
we're in the
old
right spot.
places that they can survey
Within
from,
5 feet.
if they want to go.
According to
I know
this.
where more or less my property line is. I'm measured
And
from
his
the
house
end of my
is
property
located
line
all one,
to
so
where
is
the
this one.
pipe should
All
be.
one.
It's not even within the 5 feet, it's over by about another 10 feet into the next property. So even with a rough survey or a rough measuring of where the line should be, it's not even close.
Now, again, this is, Pierre's assuming that this, where this culvert is where the property line is.
I'm not assuming, I'm
Well,
measuring.
okay, I mean, but I haven't seen the markers, so what I'm saying
Okay.
is,
It's the same involvement.
where this culvert is. The county, they assume it's here. Now, if it's actually here, we're within the 5 feet. If it's over here, we're not within the 5 feet. So, how are we gonna know? And once they survey, if they survey and this is the actual lot, then what are we gonna do? And who's gonna pay for the survey?
Yeah, who's gonna survey it, right?
Is all I'm saying. We gotta figure out who's gonna pay for the survey, because they always have to start all the way down there at Flying J.
Oh, yeah.
That's where they started for well 5 to get the markers to come up, but maybe they could find one more localized.
Well, yeah, once
is
they've
one
done
there
that
that's-
work, they don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You've got control in
I don't know why
town.
they did that, but that's where they started the last time.
Unfortunately, it's always different every time you survey.
Well, that's why we need to stick,
Experience
first of all, we
has
need to stick with the same surveyor,
Yeah.
because they've done, we've already paid them to do that amount of work.
And
So
there's,
then they can deal with that.
and there's issues with that too. That was a quad thing, and I went down to try to find out all of that before for well 5, and can't find the survey. And
Yeah, they didn't know.
So just, you know, just to say, my issue is just simply now that the lot is worthless, that's all, in the sense of, so a little retirement money or a little savings or a little stuff like now it's worth 0. You cannot build on it because of the damn pipe. And it's not where it should be. So I'm just trying to protect some financial down the road a little bit, because again, in 1965, when these people sell it for $20 or $30 like they did back then, they don't think ahead. I'm thinking ahead 20 years. Or when I want to sell the property, the house is worthless, it's the property. It's a beautiful, 3-4 lots up there.
I'd like to point out one more issue with this, is that the way they did it back in 1965 around here, we have multiple easements around this town that are exactly the same situation. They're all over the
Yeah,
town.
so it's a precedent.
They're across the corners of yards, underneath houses, they're down the hillside, so what do
Doesn't
we
make
do
it
with
right.
what do
Doesn't
we
make it
do with
right.
all of those? No,
Thank
what I'm
you.
saying is, what do we do when we don't have any money? What do we do after the fact when we gotta try to get the engineer to engineer that away from that house, which I'm all for. It's just a matter of it's gonna be a big outlay expenditure to do that.
Linda?
As a constituent, wouldn't there be grandfather regulations in that, in the fact that it's been like that for so many years?
No, because it's stipulated here specifically where the easement should be, and the pipe is not where the easement is.
I'm all for trying to help move that. I'm not opposed to, I understand the concern. I'm just trying to look at everything that's gonna go into trying to do this and what's it gonna cost to try to move that line, and do we even need the line? So the engineer needs to look at it and say, look, now we could change this. We could change it from here, we could just cut it off and then there's no problem. Or yes, we do need it, because according to our maps that we got and the way the pressure zones are laid out, it needs an engineer to look at it and say, look, we don't need this one no more.
Yeah,
We don't
'cause
need that
why-
one that goes across down there by the post office. We don't need those things. So you guys would have to direct me to
I
get
think
an
that's the
engineer
more
to look at it
important.
and then start with the surveying. Because if we could just cut the pipe off,
Perfect.
Yeah.
fix it.
Because that
everybody's
pipe's
problem.
coming from behind, why wouldn't you could run a pipe off of Pico, why wouldn't you run
There is a pipe.
It is on Pico.
but you're saying
But
this pipe comes from behind,
it's coming from
from
Wolf.
Wolf.
That's what I'm saying. Why did they do it originally?
I don't
You can't
know.
answer that. That's what I'm saying.
And we don't even know what
I've worked here
houses
9
are-
years and I can't tell you why they ran it there. So, we got to have an engineer look at it and say, yeah, look, this is what it's doing and this is why and this is what we can do.
Because we probably need to pothole and see what houses it's even feeding, right? We don't, or do we even know what all it's feeding? No, we or turn it off.
Don't you have a map here of?
Yeah, we have
I
lots.
tons of
We have
maps
lots
in
of
there.
maps, but back in those days, they didn't.
Update them.
And most of our maps are not as-built. I mean,
Yeah,
I
they didn't do
spent the whole last
as-built.
week going through maps and I'm organizing them all in that box in that tray. Trying to find out what we got and what we don't have. And I think I have one as-built so far out of all the rest. So they draw them up and they look pretty. But then when we all know from projects, when you get in the ground, you might have to change things. And unless you see field, it's hard to divert that much time because we have all these leaks going on all the
No, I
time.
agree. Look, it's not an urgent matter,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, I'm just looking ahead, when I want to sell the property.
Well, why don't we
That's
try-
my only concern. Like I said, it's it'd be my loss of a property that's valuable because of view and relation in the other 3 or 4. That's all.
Why don't we try this? Let's try to table this until I do a little more research on it
Fine.
and
Okay.
talk to the engineer
Yeah.
and see what's going on. But your other issue, I'll be up there Monday morning
All right. Great.
to see what we can do about fixing that.
All right. It's actually, I measured it. It actually runs through my back little porch there. It's just this side of the culvert actually. That's where the property line itself is.
Does it go through your house, the property line?
No, not quite. This is the thing.
Goes through the back porch?
Yeah. So like I said, again, it's just like you can say, okay, well, let it go, but in 20 years' time, if you want to sell it now, like I said, it's instead of being 2 lots, it's now 2 lots and one being useless. That's just my concern, just looking down the road. That's all. So no big rush, but I'd like to try
Director
to.
Schoenberg?
So I like to move that in light of the fact that it's not immediate, an immediate issue, I'd like to try to work with you and figure things out. I'd like to move that we table this, allow Johnny to do some more research. I'd definitely like to look into the possibility of whether we even need that pipe
Correct.
there. So
Yeah.
rather than try to reroute a pipe that's like some crazy pipe in the first place.
Exactly.
So yeah, if with your
Yeah, no, that's
agreement, I'd like to table this in maybe a few months down the road because we're probably gonna have to
Yeah,
do some
that's
heavy
fine.
research and see where we get. And then invite you to come back and, and see where we can go from
So
there.
60 days.
Yeah, why don't we do like 60, is that enough?
Yeah, and I'll stay in touch with you about this as
Yeah,
I
that's
find
fine.
stuff out, so you'll know
Yeah.
as things are going. Anytime you want to get on the agenda, all you have to do is just
I
call me. let us
second
know.
that.
Okay, so I'm moving 60 days and then we'll reconsider this and invite you back and
No.
see where we're at.
Now, as far as just the fixing of Pico and behind and getting the mud out of my property and stuff like that.
I'll be there Monday to look at
Monday,
that
just
stuff.
look at it and then we'll.
Yeah. And if it's something that it don't look like it could happen, we'll give you a claim form
All right.
for the insurance, but I'm gonna try to handle it ourselves,
Yeah,
so
all right.
we'll see what's gonna happen with it.
All right. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
See you later.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank
Good night,
all.
Pierre.
Thank you. Good
Oh,
night.
we didn't vote.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
I
didn't vote on
seconded
the
it.
table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, so Linda, we actually moved things because we thought you were gonna be later, but I'm going to, I'm gonna actually, because I think that's gonna be long, the number 11, so I'm gonna say that we go back to the original, that we continue on and then go ahead and go to the financials and leave 11 exactly where it is, or was originally.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
500
Just to
carried.
confuse Tiffany.
Yes.
Move it,
This
move
is
it back.
gonna be a fun.
Okay.
So where are we at now?
Number 6.
Number 6.
The manager's report.
Money.
Oh, hi. Hi,
5,
Johnny.
10, 6. Hi, John.
Okay.
Discussion. Go ahead.
My first topic has already been covered pretty exhaustively. I have serious concerns with that up there because there are people diverting water, and from a liability perspective, I almost want insurance to handle it, just so they can come in and dictate whether it's the natural course of the water flow or not, because I believe we hold some responsibility because, you know, we had a water leak, but the water leak was 200 feet away and it just ran down the natural course of the road, and wherever it's to go is where it's going to go. And when people start changing where it's going to go, it's really not our fault.
But how can you prosecute them for that? Can you?
Well, I know that the people down that had their house condemned, I know there's a big lawsuit going on down
Yeah,
there.
it's against the
Yeah,
law to
but
do
Not
they're
yet?
trying.
Oh, so they're trying, because now there's everybody saying he did it, and if he didn't do it, it wouldn't happen to him, and then it wouldn't happen to me. So
What a nightmare, right?
It
Like,
really
I know
is.
if I go in front of my house and decide to change the road right there, and it then goes into my neighbor's house because I decided to change my part of the road, then yeah, I'm responsible.
that's why Greg taught me way back when I first got on the backhoe. Whatever way the road sloped, whichever
Keep
way
it
the
that
water
way.
runs, keep it that. Even though you go, hey, it would be nice to fill that road straight. Can't ever do it. So we leave it to, we clean up ruts and stuff, but we leave the pitch, whatever it is. So yeah, the next thing is I got a call from Senator Fuller's house today, or office today, because an elderly lady on a fixed income called up to ask about why her bill was higher than her son, or why her son's bill was cheaper than hers, but her bill is $60.50 base rate plus water usage. So I think that part was incorrect. The lady was very nice at the senator's office and said she talked to her again. The second part of it was they're asking about if we have any type of program to help out people that have limited budgets. I told them, I said, well, that's really in your court, because I hear that there's supposed to be a budget, or there's supposed to be a bill going that's going to help with the water bills. She said, yeah, that's Assembly bill, blah, blah, blah. I looked it up and it wasn't that number. And the only things I can find is trying to help out with gas and electric. I haven't found any bill for helping out with water bills. So,
Well, and then it would probably be big companies like DWP and those.
yeah, so that's still a hot topic. I went down already to a couple people's places down in Bakersfield to try to talk to them about some other stuff, but I'm gonna start hitting up the assemblymen and the senators, and I'm gonna start, putting my face out there and telling them, look, we're charging what we have to charge according to the rate study, and a lot of people are hurting for that, and maybe you guys can do something to push for, to help out somehow, because they tax us for everything else. Why don't they throw some tax dollars this way to try to help people with their bills? Because when we have to increase it again in January, that's just very disconcerting. It's scary that people are being hurt so much by
Yeah.
their water bills. The next thing is Carlos is no longer going to be working with us for Self-Help Enterprise. He took a lateral in Self-Help, so Dave is going to be stepping in again and taking care of us until they find a replacement. So that part, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
I like Dave coming up here.
Yeah.
What's the other gentleman that's always coming up to Lake of the Woods?
I don't know. I've met him one time.
Armando or something?
Yeah, I just met him one time. But I like Dave because he has so much history with us.
Dave's.
He has so much information,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows things. He doesn't let the state. Sometimes I actually kind of grimace a little bit the way he's talking on phone conferences because he gets right to the meat of it.
Who, Carlos?
No, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Dave knows how to push and how to get stuff. So I like Dave being on our team. The next thing is everybody read the newspaper article?
No.
Yes.
There was a person who wrote the editor. Patrick let me respond. It's two pages, but basically they claim that they've been up here for years and that their bill has doubled. It used to be $30 a month a couple of years ago. So I responded with the real facts.
It's a lot of misinformation though, because the guy thinks that it's a brand new water company.
Yeah, the whole thing is just kind of crazy. So.
Oh, yeah.
And then just as a quick note here on something else, I found this blueprint as I was going through.
Hey, bring up the pond again. I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, well, this is going to kind of help a little bit with it. I think this map is from 1959. 1959, it shows the placement of all 5 lakes at the park.
Oh, baby. Which one's our pond?
This one right here.
Okay.
Now, these two, higher elevation, they dried up, probably because the water table dropped.
Mm-hmm.
That's why these aren't full. These, they've made they redid everything down here by the post office. So this shows that in 1959 there was 5 ponds, and then now there's only one dry one. So it shows that something natural has been happening because we didn't put in wells to conflict with it back to that point. So I found that interesting myself.
Well, and the reality is the new well replaced a well that's in basically the same spot.
Yeah.
Maybe, 50 feet away from where it was drilled?
Okay. Yeah, and then I have one more topic here. We got a receipt for a water service that was paid for, looks like in 1990. And I want it put in. They did it years ago because they own 4 or 5 lots up on Escalon. We may or may not have a water pipe running up there to be able to supply them. But the board at the time thought that was prudent to,
How many years ago?
well, this says 1990. March 1990. So 2 things. One, we're going to try to find a pipe. I believe that there's a 6-inch going up at least near there, so we could probably provide them water. But the policy of $750 for an inactive meter, does that still apply even if the meter was never put in the ground? Huh. Yeah.
But it was never put in the ground because of our mistake, because we said we put it in the ground?
No, I mean, we have no record of it other than the receipts. And when I first started, we had another situation. It was only 4 or 5 years old, but the guy up here on Truman knew that the rates were going to be increased, so he got in early and he paid for it.
Yeah.
But he didn't build his house. He wasn't going to build his house, so it was never put in. It was put in after I started working here, a few years after they paid for it. So, really, I told her this was a brilliant stroke of business right here by the service. As far as she knew, it was put in. So it's not like she deliberately left it not put in, but we can't find it anywhere. And there's no record of it in the computer or in the installation record. So
But there is a record of them paying.
right here, receipt,
But what did they pay?
$1,750
Because that's all it was at
Back
that
in
time.
in 1990. Yeah,
Well, I think if they, can I see it?
yeah, of course.
I mean, basically.
She's a very nice lady too, by the way. She's,
If we didn't put it in and we took the money for it, And you found that we took the money for it. Can we go back and make sure that it was really paid? Yeah, it says paid.
Well, how would we go back to
Yeah.
1990? I mean, I have a copy of the check, but how would you go back to 1990? Because we don't
We
keep
have
it.
a copy of the check. We
It's
do
right-
keep,
it's
we
in there.
keep all the records, but there it'd be hard. We have
It's the
all-
last page. There's the copy of the check.
Wait,
right
that's
there.
what's in the old office.
You know Bob Phillips?
That would be a
Bob Phillips.
treasure hunt.
It's well, actually, we went back. They're divided in boxes, and they say the dates and everything. I mean,
Oh.
I went back with Joy because we had an issue with somebody way back. I mean, when I very first got on the board, and we went through a whole bunch of those.
She's very nice. She just really wants to, they want to sell their lots up there, and since they have a water service, they want to be able to tell the people that they do have a
Where's
water
this
service.
Did you see the back that actually says cash? I mean, this is the front of the check. Did you look at the back to
No, I
say
didn't.
that?
I got that all emailed. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, I would like to see just to be safe, the back of the check that says that it went through and we cashed it.
Okay, well, I know that we have the will serve letter and all that stuff on there, but okay, I'll ask her to do that.
Because she has the check, so that's.
Like I said, I totally believe that she did it. It's that the real thing I brought up, the purpose I brought it up, is do we charge them the $750 for inactive account when we never created the account to begin with? I would say no, if we don't have the meter in the ground. But then the other side of it is the 7 years is because people have to buy into the system. So in that case, we would charge them $750.
I think we would charge it would be as though, okay, as long as we actually cash this check, in my opinion, it would be as though we put a service in the ground and then they never used the meter, so it was locked off, and we do charge a $700 fee to redo it because all this time she's thought it was there, but she just didn't use it until now.
Yeah.
Like she wants it now. So that would make sense to me. I just want to make sure that we really cash the check, and if we did, I think that that's fair because that's the price it was back then. So why would we charge, more money to put it in? We shouldn't charge more to put it in. We
Who
should just
signed the
charge.
will serve?
Mr. Banfield.
And then to show you, to answer your question, Becky, right here,
Whose service is that?
It's
right here's Escalon.
William Sobel.
This is Los Padres. Do you know where Buena Vista is?
Yeah.
You go past Buena Vista and Escalon goes up.
Oh my gosh, it's way up there, right?
Well, it's off of Los Padres, and then the only two houses up here are Coco.
Oh.
Coco's Motel. They have these two houses right
But
now.
is it
okay.
something that's like going to be a really difficult?
I don't know. That's what I said. I don't know why they sold the lot unless they had a pipe in the ground. Now I found some blueprints that indicate that there probably is a pipe up there, but our witching sticks and our
Oh, so we don't even know if there's actually a pipe to go to there.
that's what I'm saying. But regardless, if they sold them the thing and said we provide water,
We have to do
we
it.
have to do it no matter what it takes. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
Was the walk-off $750 back in 1990 as
No.
well? So
No, but now that if they're
But we couldn't charge them $750 for the.
Yes, because
From-
yes.
That's
So
the-
the way it works is if you paid 30 years ago and we had actually put the pipe in the ground and it sat there with the meter locked off and you never used it, and then all of a sudden it's like, 30 years later and you want to use it, anything over 7 years of waiting time, because you've been paying this really low standby fee, we charge $750 to
because you've been paying $5
because you've been
a
paying
year.
nothing a year to
$5
have
a
that,
year,
and so you
isn't
didn't
it?
really, it's
Yeah.
$5 a year basically standby fee. So because
Oh,
you
so okay, it would be a one-time $750 fee.
Yes.
Not a.
No,
Okay, not
no.
an
Yeah.
accumulative.
No.
Okay.
no, it's just because what people were doing is they were like getting something and then sitting on the property and not really paying into the system, and it's not fair to all the people that are paying a base rate in the system, for all this time.
Right.
And they may have locked it off, turned it on, locked it off, but these people just haven't had to pay a lot because they had it locked off for years and years and years. And we're not charging them any extra for that.
Have they been paying the $5 lockoff fee
Well,
or the
yeah.
$5
It comes
standby
off
fee?
taxes, so if you're not paying it, we put it, it's a standby fee, so basically it's collected by Kern County. If you don't pay your taxes, no, but I would assume that they're paying their taxes.
okay, so I'll confirm.
Tiffany can look it up.
So really, I'll confirm that the back of the check has the where we cashed it, and then we'll all just handle it, and we'll charge them $750. she's not worried, but I told her the possibility of the 750, she's not worried about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, could I just, can we do that as a motion?
sure, make a motion.
I'd like to move that if they really paid this fee and we said that we would provide water, that we need to provide water and that we would provide water with what it takes to provide water, even though it's been however many years it's been, and we would just charge the what do
28
we
years,
call it?
1990?
Yeah.
28 years, correct.
we would just charge the fee to turn the meter back on, which is the $750.
But I think it makes sense to track down the check, even though.
Yeah, I would just like to see the back of the check to make sure it was cash, because you can take it,
I second that.
since she has the check.
All in favor?
Aye.
500, motion carried.
That's it for me.
Dang good
That's
report.
enough.
Well, then
Wasn't
we
there
got,
something else we had to take action on? You said, I was getting coffee
Okay.
trying to wake up.
Let's move
Is
on.
that the
Administrative report.
scanner?
No, it wasn't, didn't come up yet.
now we have, A, the quote for fencing around the tanks.
Oh yeah, quote for fencing, don't have one for you, so we'll table that till next time.
Okay. Administrative assistance report.
Okay, I just wanted to the question, if she could just come in, sit in the back of that water company meeting,
Oh, yeah.
and if there would be an issue, if no action's ever taken at that meeting, it's informational only, if nobody talked to her, could she sit in the meeting? So after reviewing the Brown Act and everything I've learned about it, the answer is absolutely not.
Wow.
Because all that's required is that any discussion on a topic that is within our jurisdiction, as soon as you bring up any topic, if 3 of you are there, it's a meeting,
And
period.
and we are
Just
taking
about that.
action, even though we're not voting. We're
Right.
doing like a group conscience, and that is an action, which is why I said that we have to have just an ad hoc there. Even though we're not taking an action like an action that this board would have to vote on,
Right.
but we're taking dumb actions like, are we going to discuss Sigma today? And because we're making a decision and that has to do with this water
Yeah.
company, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
fine then, I
all it
just won't
takes is a
go.
But the only thing I was thinking about too is, now if she did show up, it would have to be a agendized meeting, that's all. There would have to be an agenda that meeting's out and it would be
No,
open to the
forget it.
public.
No.
But the other way I was thinking around it too is you said they were talking about possibly recording the meeting. So if it's ever recorded or broadcast, of course she's welcome to listen to a recording of it, just to learn the information and see what's
Yeah.
being talked about.
I'm trying to get them to do that. I don't know if they're willing to do that or not. But I think it would be a good idea because it's hard just to, that right now we don't even have a secretary that's taking minutes. So.
Right.
Oh,
It would be hard, you couldn't get a good. Let's don't go back to recording like an 8-track like.
No.
Now that we've been spoiled, but okay. Well, thank you for checking into it for me.
Just to double check. And then just to give you progress, we're doing a couple more policies tonight and photos. So really, I think we're about 80% done with getting everything required for the certification, transparency certification. I think there's 1 or 2 more policies, putting up the photos on the website, and then I'll be able to apply. So we're definitely moving along. We're making really good progress. And then at the point that we apply, I don't know how long it takes to make a decision. Might be a couple months. That's it. Still moving forward.
I have a question on the photo. With the election coming up and my seat being challenged, and if I'm not here in November, then do you have to retake another photo?
Of the new member? Yeah. That it's just to show who is the board currently. So right now we take current photos, put them all up there, and if any of it ever changes, now, future, I just swap it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know how some people are with photos, so like I said, you guys could bring in a photo you like of yourself, or we'll take a photo. Because we're gonna do it with all the employees too, and a couple of them aren't big on photos either.
Well, as long as we have the option to see the photo before it goes up there and yay or nay it, I'm good.
Well, considering
We can do that.
nobody wants to post somebody's picture that's bad, because then they're gonna do that back to you.
Like a mugshot.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, I don't think I will, but okay.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think I need the advertising.
No.
Do we?
Director Schromer.
It's out of order, so never mind.
Oh, okay. Number 7, the ad hoc committee reports. The meeting of the local water companies. I didn't attend, you did.
Okay, so yeah, I attended. We definitely decided that we're going to do that meeting on. Sorry, I switched phones, so it's on Wednesdays. I believe it's the 3rd Wednesday
Yes.
of every month at the library, still at 5 o'clock. So that's going to continue as it is. It was really good attendance. It was basically every water company up on the. I mean, even Pine Mountain Club was there. So that was pretty impressive. And a representative from O'Neill Canyon, which is, that wasn't the board people, but it was a representative. So it was pretty well attended. We did decide that there's going to be, or they decided, there's not a vote really, it's just sort of a group okay, and so they wanted to continue to do all of the testing measurements and everything, and do a spreadsheet of it. It's a little weird because some of the water companies don't have meters and don't do the things that the companies that have meters do, so it's a little weird as to how that's happening exactly, but anyway, they're gonna continue to write that stuff down. I mean, that information does go to Tahone Castic now, and the GSA, which, and also they're in the middle of the planning. They're gonna start doing that, but we decided as a group of water companies that all that information is public information anyway, and if somebody really wanted it, all they have to do is come to the water company and ask. So, why are we gonna worry about hiding stuff, and it's gonna help all water companies to kind of know, is so-and-so's well, down from us, we're an up, I want to say gradient, but that's not the word. We're up from some companies. It'd be good to know if their water levels are lowering, and same thing with them knowing our water levels. So anyway, so I think that that's going to continue. And then the other thing that they decided on doing is to invite this next meeting, invite a solar energy company that the Crystal Water Company has been in discussion with, to come and talk to us. They wanted some information, data gathered. I need to go. Linda pulled out or showed me where all the information is for all of the electrical needs for each of the different sites. So I need to make a spreadsheet so I can compile that and bring it so that this company has some information to go by, and then I don't think they're going to give us a quote there, but they would just give us an idea of whether it would be beneficial to try to get a quote, or whether it's just totally out of the question. We've gotten a quote before, and it was what I was saying is it's probably a problem for us because we're spread out. We're not, we would have to have all this stuff at multiple sites, so it's probably would be really cost prohibitive for us. I mean, it would be interesting to see what they say, but there's a good chance that it may not work for us. But they felt like, a couple of the other companies that were that had just one site, or just stuff was closer together, they felt like it might work for them.
Possibly. I mean, the other side of that is we can look at maybe the electric bill and see what's the most costly sites. And there may be 1 or 2 sites that we could convert to solar, that might save us a significant amount of money.
I think as long as the loan on the solar didn't exceed, our average water, or I mean, our average electric bill,
Yeah,
it'd be worth taking out a loan to get it, as long as they can provide the power, but, here, I don't have a problem with well 6, because we have plenty of area.
right,
Well 5 is kinda limited, I don't know if they could generate enough solar, they'll have to tell us that, in
right.
that little section. The booster side shouldn't be a problem, because they're just small boosters, they take less, so I think it's a great idea if they could, because I know that there's all kinds of incentives out there too. Other companies might know those.
The other issue that was brought up that's a more pertinent issue, even than just saving money, is if we have an emergency up here, we all started talking a little bit about emergency stuff. It was, brought up, the Cal Warren stuff was brought up. A lot of the companies are gonna try to add their names to the Cal Warren system, which is where we, are able to, loan equipment to someone else and get reimbursed for it. And, we felt like that was really important up here, and if nothing else, if nothing else ever happens with all these water companies getting together, the fact that we might all be able to collectively help each other if there was an emergency is probably good enough incentive for us all being together. And one of the things that came up, like the most important thing that came up, was that if we lose electricity up here, what do we do? Like, there's, if everything goes and we're cut off, the freeway's cut off, and if we had solar power at a few sites, might we be able to, like, keep people in water? Whereas if we don't have that, are we really going to be able to? It came up that most of the water companies don't even have a generator that could run their stuff if they lost power. I told them that we do have a couple. We have like an emergency generator, but we'd have to like drag it to places in order to use it.
I mean, that's not a problem. I mean, that's why we spent $70,000 on a generator.
Right, but we do.
It was important to us to do that.
Right, we
Yeah.
do have one. Pine Mountain Club has some ability to run their generators at their various sites. They have generators at each site. But a lot of the companies don't even have that. So they'd be just in, like, Lebec doesn't have that. They don't even have, I think they even have an issue with the generator that they have that's built into one of their sites. So I was going to go to their meeting this last time and try to ask some stuff, but I didn't make it the other day, a couple days ago. So anyway, it was just interesting. So I think we're going to talk more about what each company has and what we might be able to do, and if there's some sort of collective way of getting solar, where if there's a bunch of companies all kind of buying into it, would it drop the price for somebody to come up here and do it, all that kind of stuff. So this company is coming from not Bakersfield, I think they're like up north, and I don't know where they are exactly, up towards San Francisco. So they felt that, we were all together on this, that it might interest them enough to lower some of their prices and stuff.
I do have a request of the people that go to that local water company thing. Us general managers and lead people have always, since I've been here, have always shared and talked to each other and worked with each other. So it's really just the board members and the new general managers that are doing this to do stuff. So when you guys are talking about things we can do, let's space them out.
Well, they're all their general managers are coming to the meeting.
All I'm saying is let's space them out to where we're not overwhelmed with too much all at one time. Because you stepped up to help with the Edison thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing the reporting, the water sold, and the, per gallon per day and all that. I mean, I'm doing all that stuff, and then we're going to be doing the well soundings and all that stuff. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I told them it's extra
Big commitment.
work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a lot more work.
if you're constantly asking for information, that's a lot of work on our general manager.
Water levels been in our wells? So
They're fine.
they've been pretty much.
Well, okay, to clarify, well 6 is fine. I'm assuming well 5 is. If you remember, we can't sound well 5. The only person that could do that is Edison Pump Efficiency guy that comes in every couple of years, unless I call a favor, and he'll come every year. He's coming now in October to do it because he has the special wire. Now that we have a little more money, I'm gonna check and see if they could core drill a sounding tube at well 5, so we'll be able to sound our well ourselves. But that's our deepest well and our best producer, and it hasn't slacked off on any productivity. So I'm educated guess is that it's still healthy, like well 6 is fine. So
yeah.
we're at about roughly almost 100-foot pumping level, and well 6 is 220 feet deep, so, you know, we still comfortably have plenty of pumping room.
Yeah, but it was a little bit higher, wasn't it?
No, static level, not running,
Oh.
is still high. It's about 45 feet, I think.
Okay, so
50
it's
feet.
maintained about where we were at.
Yeah, I mean, we may be, you know, a couple feet down, but
Okay.
I just had to get the sounder rewound and some repairs done on it. That was like $205, so.
Yeah.
Pumping level's 109 feet. And I'm static on this one. I got to look it up. But anyway, yeah, we're doing all right. But I called Rick Koch, the Edison guy, and I talked to him and asked him if he'd come up and do all of our pump efficiency, because sometimes Edison gives us rebates.
Right.
If we need to replace something that ain't working right.
Right.
Plus, he's the only one that can sound well 5, so he's gonna sound it for us, and we'll know what's going on.
Okay, great.
Well, that's basically it for that. And then I don't know, I went as part of the Sigma ad hoc, minus Terry, but she
I was on vacation.
Busy. I went to the first meeting of the GSA formation between Lebec and Tejon Castic Water Company. It was primarily a presentation that had to do with the company that they hired. He gave me his card, which I forgot to bring, but basically they're kind of running that whole thing, and they did a presentation on I don't know, it was all kinds of stuff, including like the logo that they decided on. So it's not a lot got done. They decided on a logo. They decided they have a vote. So Krista read prior to the meeting the memorandum of understanding and agreed to it. So they signed that. So Krista is able to sit at the table but doesn't have an actual vote. But they are able to put their input in. I didn't, you know, I know at one time we had talked about us possibly sitting at the table. I didn't, you know, talk about that. What I did ask, because there was one of the things in the presentation was that they have a concern about the you know, Fraser Park, Lake of the Woods, anybody that's up from Lebec and Tejon Castic. So that's something that, until they have a lot of data, probably over the next 5 years, there's a whole learning curve for the GSP. There's a whole thing that you go through before you start to come up with some things, but you tweak it for a while until you really have an idea of what's going on. And so they're just going to be at the very beginning of starting that process, which they want all the data from other companies too. I mean, they're not specifically asking for that right now. They're just doing all the data from their wells and, you know, anybody in that basin. You know, there's still questions about the basin. That is what it is. They did talk about, the state did put out another paper on the high priority, medium priority, low priority, and we're still at a very low priority. All of the basins, all the cascading basins are low priority, including their basin that they're doing the GSA in. So they're just ahead of the curve. So yeah, it was just the very first meeting. So
Okay.
that's what I got out of that. And I do have the presentation. They did give a paper on the PowerPoint if anybody wants to see that.
I might want to look at that. Okay. On to number 8, accounts payable financials.
Here, I got through half of these, but Brahma, you went through them, right?
Yeah.
I looked at the credit card ones.
Some of the bills we've got double. I don't know if you remember at the last meeting, I said if we don't have our second meeting, there'll be some bills that will then be late. And you guys said it's fine because the late fee will be a lot less than the director's fees, and it was. So they're accounting 2 for the other account. And then there's like 2 Edison bills.
Now, what about the JPIA? Is that going to be like that, or they?
No, it's just,
The reason why I'm asking is because it seems like they should be sending it on a regular schedule. That we
Yeah,
should be
we're
able-
paying it, they are sending that bill earlier. If you notice, the bill that we got today is for October 1st.
Okay,
So it's not late, it's just
Yeah.
October 1st.
okay.
Okay, so we just got it today, but we got the other one right after our other board meeting, because our other board meeting was earlier
Yeah, okay,
of the month, so it's just a timing thing.
okay.
So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that's why you'll see duplicates of them, because the duplicates are the ones that came in today's mail. Our cash balance is $1,295,647.83. And next month, the money's already in the account, but the USDA funds will automatically come out of the account on October 15th, but those funds have already been transferred, and so they're already covered.
That's in the
So
payment
you'll
fund.
see
Yeah.
that on where it's showing
USDA
USDA payment fund
Yeah.
of $105,598. Okay?
Question. So, so basically, the 249,824, does not include, does not include the checks here.
Right, so,
And that total is what, 111,718, is that what we're paying out?
the total of these checks right here,
Yeah, what is the total?
these checks total about 90,000.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so then that'll put us down to about 150 in the account?
Right.
Okay,
So, yeah, in October, I'll make a recommendation as to, if we can put more monies into the emergency.
and we
fund.
already, that check,
Yeah,
yeah, the 79,000,
yeah,
whatever.
that payment was already done.
64,000, excuse me.
Yeah, that was a month ago.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not gonna hold that check very long.
No.
No, well, I wouldn't think so,
No,
but I
that's
just,
already done.
yeah, I just wanted to,
And even if it hadn't cleared, the balance showing here includes it, but
okay,
it did clear.
right.
Okay. Also, today we got the letter from the IRS saying that this tax issue back from 2005 has been resolved. It was an ADP error. ADP's fixed it and resolved it. But the IRS also said that they didn't have a record of us having ADP being our
representative.
payroll person, and they could talk to them about this. So they said we need to have this form signed, power of attorney form signed, and I put on here just the payroll tax information for them to have power of attorney for. So this just needs to be signed so we can mail it off to the IRS for that. Also,
Signed by, it would be signed by,
By me?
whoever is authorized, I would be either the president or the treasurer. So,
President.
the other thing is we had thought everything was given to the accountant, including the QuickBooks file. We found out that there was a glitch in the internet that caused him not to get the accountant's copy. After many hours with QuickBooks on the line, it finally came to be that they believe it has to do with the poor quality of our internet right now on AT&T, the combination of that and the combination of the antivirus, because the internet's going so slow, the antivirus reads every line, and that particular file is so huge, it kept timing out. So what we've done is we've put the accountant's file on a USB drive, because even the file wasn't able to be sent them even on Google Drive or anything. So we
If
had
I
to put
might
it on
interject real
USB
quick.
drive.
The other alternative was turning off the antivirus so it could send it, and I wasn't cool with that because we got too much information on QuickBooks there, so.
Yeah, so those were the two alternatives, so what we did is we put it on a drive, and Johnny's gonna deliver that to deliver the USB drive to the accountants, so they can get that done, but that, so I apologize, we thought it was already taken care of, and came across this glitch, they didn't get any of the files, even though the system said it went through, they couldn't see that they got it. Okay, and all part of that, one of the things that I did this year was I scanned everything, all the receipts and everything, directly into QuickBooks. And what's good about that, and I was showing this to Lisa yesterday, is that they can go to that vendor, click on it, and they can see all the checks that was written to the vendor along with the backup invoices that was attached to that check. Well, the Neat machine only takes the paper halfway through and it quits working. The machine is no longer manufactured. The company is no longer I bought this scanner that I'm recommending myself. I have it in my office. It works great. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's more commercial grade. And it goes fast, it does two-sided, it does color, so we can scan anything, and it also has the ability where you can file it and have it where you can have a complete with the desk, so I can scan it directly into QuickBooks. Because the other scanner here works really great for big jobs, but for anything directly into QuickBooks, it's too cumbersome. Worth between $800 and $900. I paid $895 and some cents, and that included the taxes, I think. So I can't remember if it included taxes or not. But anyway, I'm recommending that. So I was showing it to Lisa, so I just wondered, Johnny wanted to get permission on that to go ahead and order that.
I think we have an issue.
Is it pertaining to that?
No, I'm
Can
sorry.
Can we finish that first?
Yeah,
and then-
go ahead.
I have a question.
Director Schomer.
The company that we do the scanners, copiers with, is that something you think that they might have as a different type of scanner, like what she's talking about that does, because these don't do those small, stacks of the small receipts easily.
Well, no, and apparently to work with QuickBooks, it has to be kind of coded for working with QuickBooks.
It has to be
Is that correct?
Twain compatible. And the first one we
I can call them and
bought,
ask them.
the first one we bought wasn't Twain compatible, so Johnny had to return it. This one's Twain compatible, but it's more expensive.
Yeah, I can call them and ask them, and if you give me the model number of what you got right there.
It's right here, I'm gonna give that to you.
Yeah, I'm just
And,
curious if they have something comparable, because they've really worked with us, and if it was something that we could do in the same way, it might make more sense, so that if it gets outdated again, because you spend $900 to $1,000, and then if it's not going to work in another, year or something, then maybe it's
But
better.
I will tell you, this particular model is a Fujitsu, because I was real concerned after the Neat experience. Fujitsu, I can't pronounce it. And this particular model is their best model that they have for what we're doing, and this particular model has been in existence for about 15 years.
Okay, let's, how about if you guys approve the purchase of this, if the Office Machine people don't provide something that'll work comparable and make you guys happy. If when I call them, they say, yeah, we got that, then I'll bring it back to you guys and say, hey, look, we can get this, these are the terms and everything, but otherwise, if they don't, then we purchase this.
I'll make a motion that if the copier doesn't have something compatible, that we authorize you to buy the Fujitsu or whatever.
Fujitsu.
Yes, it's being around $1,000.
It's less than $1,000.
Less than $1,000. Do I hear a second? Oh,
Do
And
I
it's
hear,
commercial grade, so.
sorry.
do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500, motion carried.
I guess just to bring this up, I guess I'm gonna have to make a $20 transfer to the USDA payment account because they took out $20.
Right,
for-
that's the
So,
other
so
thing I
that
was
means
gonna.
we're short $20
They
for
did that
the
with
payment.
all the accounts because of the audit. It's
Right.
that $20 annual fee for the accounts.
Yeah, so I gotta put $20 more into this account.
Into every account?
No, just
No,
the,
there's about
just the USDA
5 or
payment
6
fund,
accounts
Oh,
USDA
were
fund
affected.
payment.
So why would they take out money on an account that's a zero account?
Well, it's not a
Why
zero.
would they need to audit it? It is a zero account.
Yeah.
No, it isn't because we put money into it.
yeah, but it
No,
should
but
have
it's a
been,
zero account.
Yeah, it should-
most of- oh, you're saying we put money into it
We put
itself.
money-
Well, because we were putting in prior so that we could make the interest payment.
so,
Oh, we know not to do that next year. Wait till just before.
Wait till after they do the audit.
well, I guess that's what happened last year is like, I mean, because we've always had to borrow, so we didn't have the money in advance to do it early.
No, I think it's worth us just having to transfer $20 and knowing
Right.
that funds are already there
Mhm.
in the spending account and not having to rush and hurry up.
I mean, if next year we haven't done it, then we could always put an extra $20 when we transfer it initially.
Exactly.
But, so we'll have to do that, okay.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having extra money in that account, we just can't have money
Right.
too short.
Okay, I was just, sorry, I was trying to multitask.
Actually, it's supposed to zero out though.
Yeah,
It's,
right.
Yeah,
there shouldn't ever be money in that account.
but can't you have so much money in there, like $100 for stuff just like this?
No, it's
Because-
not that kind of account.
It's better to go back to the USDA and say, look, this was a $20 fee than it would be to have extra money in there that you have to account for
Okay.
down the road.
And I think I've covered, there was one other thing, no, we covered it with the VOD fee. Yeah, I think that's it. Can't think of anything else I need to cover.
Does anyone else have questions on the financials for Linda?
No, I'm good.
Do I hear a motion to pay our bills?
I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500, motion carried. Okay.
I haven't looked at all of them. Figures. Let me just separate the.
I gotta get some coffee. I'll be back.
Okay. Number 9, discussion and vote on FPPUD reimbursement policy.
So if you remember last month, there was a little bit of a concern about the wording.
Yes.
So what I did is I printed out a couple alternatives,
No, sir.
as far as wording. So that's why you see number 1 or number 1, to see which wording you liked better, if that satisfies what you were looking for. And then just another option
Just
for
two
number 3.
signature. I separate.
So,
Okay.
did you have a chance to look at the 2 options on?
The first one, that was the one that was on there the last time, right?
Except I added, I believe all I added, let's see, determine appropriate approved board, consistent with board policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of just added that word to,
Yeah, so if something came up and something had to happen quicker, as long as it's within your guys' guidelines, your policy, then I could approve it, but
Or the second one just specifies,
You guys,
day travel versus overnight travel.
Let me see. Which one are you?
do you wanna go line by line, or do you wanna just,
Well, I know
The,
number
draft
one, I had
policies.
recommended the second number one.
I don't have a copy of that.
let's go to the second number one. Let's,
Are you
vote for that.
in there for that shit?
Yeah, I don't have a copy of that.
What's the matter, you?
It was right, it's right after.
Oh, here it is. Excuse me, stand corrected. Not that I would think Tiffany would ever not give me something.
What did you think, Lisa, on the two?
I prefer the second number one, which is what I was talking about. And then I don't think we need number three, because basically number one would cover both budgeted and non-budgeted travel, so I'm not sure why we would need number three.
I agree.
And then the, and then the 200, what was that before? Was it something?
It was the same before, I was just wondering.
I don't know, but I was kinda wondering about that, because if you stay in all the way till 6, if it's 200 miles or even, 180 miles away, that's an extra
3 hours.
2 or 3 hour trip to get home, so, and you're exhausted enough after going to training anyway, so maybe that would be a little more, flexible, the 200 miles to more like 100 miles, depending on the circumstances. A lot of training ends at 3 or 4, and then it wouldn't be a big deal, you're still getting back early, but if it ends at 6, you wouldn't be getting home until 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock,
If you make it.
if you make it, yeah. But it does say the general manager must be contacted, so they'd have to call and get approval anyway.
If you had to go from here to LA even, you'd have to get up mighty early to, which is,
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
you don't
really,
have
do
to-
we really even need that again? Because isn't that on a case, or I guess we can put it so that it's still saying the board of directors shall approve, but,
It's
you know, like I,
Sort of redundant.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is kind of, because I can't authorize them to stay in a motel. That is a good point, though. Say, account that maybe, the road will be closed or something when people are off the hill, and then
Snowstorm.
you have to authorize me being able to pay for their lodging remotely on the phone.
then why don't we add on number one that we shall pre-approve any, normal's not the word, any non-emergency traveling that requires overnight accommodations.
Yeah.
And then put after the period, emergency accommodations shall be, can be pre-approved and then.
Case,
Yeah.
case by case.
Yeah.
Perfect. Not that we get snow anymore, but we may someday.
It's like that.
But there could be something else, there could be
Yeah,
a
fires,
huge
whatever.
accident, fire, and, they need to be able to stay overnight, we need to be able
I
to
don't
pay
wanna
for
say
it, and
too
if
loud,
you
but-
can't,
Earthquake.
I mean, it'd be,
Yeah.
Could you clarify the sentence one more time?
Well-
Emergency.
yeah, so the board of directors shall pre-approve any non-emergency traveling that requires overnight accommodations. you can put another line that says emergency travel will be, emergency travel can be approved by the general manager,
On a case by case.
consistent with board policy.
Okay.
Perfect.
Oh,
And then I think you can leave off those 2 lines about the 200 miles.
Yes, take off the.
Because if it's a regular thing that we know about, and we know that it's gonna be like tiring for them, like it starts at in the morning, then we could say they can stay
Signature guy.
overnight.
Perfect.
Clear.
I'm good with that. Okay, vote.
Director Scharnborg.
Huh? Hmm?
Oh, I thought you were gonna make the motion.
Oh. I put food in my mouth. Okay, so I move that we adopt the current draft as amended of the Fraser Park Public Utility District reimbursement policy.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And,
Aye.
Lisa? Aye.
Yeah.
Are these 3 signatures?
I-
No,
No,
I did. I better
those
be
are
an
two.
aye.
Okay.
I can't make a motion and not vote
You
on
wanna
it.
sign them and then I'll put them in the
We're
envelope?
missing-
Does that work?
which
Yeah,
one?
we're
Does
missing,
that work for you?
Oh.
because you took them when
Okay.
I
We're a
was.
team,
got-
Jerry.
500, motion carried.
Against the will.
So I was gonna do the 3 signatures.
Okay. We did have discussion and vote on update to the FPPUD bylaws and regulations, rules and regulations.
Did you decide to not do the break? Don't you have to vote on that?
Can you,
You get paid.
Yeah, I just always skip
I
that.
got you multitasking there too.
I think if it's
sorry.
in there, don't you have to
Send this
address it
over,
if it's in there?
She needs a
Yes.
third, those need 3 signatures.
Yeah, you
These
still,
3,
you
okay.
still have to address it even if you guys vote to not take the break.
Okay. Brief recess, 10 minutes, every 1.5 hours. Are we taking our recess? Yes, no? Do I hear a motion? No? Who wants a break?
Who needs a break today?
We're still in a fair amount.
Probably needs a massage, that's what he needs.
It's a quarter
Do
of
these
it.
already have 2 signatures on them? That's,
Yeah,
they
you
need
need 3.
okay.
I don't
I know, I'm just
see
trying to
why
figure out if
you
the
want.
second, that's Lisa's
Yeah.
signature, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
very
Are we
unique.
staying in session?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Get it, girl.
no
Good night,
break.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank
Linda.
you.
Bye, Linda.
Is that all she needs? Is what about the other one?
Oh, the rates, the rate
She
list,
didn't
Oh,
need to
okay.
be there.
or the
Okay.
financial policy?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so discuss and vote on the FPPUD bylaws and rules and regulations.
So I gave you only a very abbreviated, I didn't print the whole 10-page thing, because it was actually Johnny's request that we just add a couple words to number 27.
And everything
That's
else
the
we
only
voted
change.
on, right?
Yeah, oh, they're fully approved.
Right.
The only things that would change is what's in red, so the date, obviously, and then number 27, there's just, we're adding a couple words.
Yeah, I realized on number 27 that we had the $200 cut lock fee, but a lot of times they don't cut the lock, they actually cut the curb stop
Okay.
and leave the lock on there, which means you could turn it, so I thought that it'd be good to clarify that.
Any
So I didn't charge
tampering,
them. Any tampering or, you know,
damage.
yeah.
I know we moved on, but I have one question.
Sure.
Lisa, so we've been making these transfers, but they took $20 out, so therefore I gotta add $20 to the loan payment account, correct?
Yeah, money comes out if it didn't come out already, which it shouldn't have.
Yeah, but the reserve account, we also are putting money in and they took $20 out of the reserve account. which we didn't account for, so we have to put that in, correct?
The auditors go into the account.
Yeah.
So they charge us $20 on the auditors.
On every,
Wow, we have 12 accounts.
Do the math.
and I think we asked the auditors not to do that multiple times, and we need to make sure they're not doing it multiple
Should be
times.
one view.
No, it's only
per-
one time, but it's
No,
just,
it comes up more than once, and I hope they're not gonna do that this time. They
Over
kept-
6 months?
well, last time was a big mix-up
There was a
because,
mix-up.
because they sent it to me and
Well, we're-
I sent it to the bank and then the bank
Well,
said.
we're out of order right now, so
Okay,
can
sorry.
we get back to that
Yes.
after we
Okay.
vote on
Yes.
Slow you
this?
down, bro, come on now.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Okay,
Someone wants to speak.
Look
Director
like-
Schomburg.
I'd like to move that we, change, re-adopt the resolution adopting bylaws and rules and regulations. It was, just as a side note, it was previously adopted, so I'd like to move that we adopt it with the one change that our general
Or
manager.
a second.
I think your
I'll second that.
phone keeps,
Yeah,
what is that?
it does that. It tells me that people are sending me messages or emails or something.
All in favor?
Thinking of-
Aye.
It wakes me up, it wakes me up
Aye.
at night if I have an emergency
Aye.
phone call.
500. Motion carried. It has been adopted.
Obnoxious.
Discussion and vote on update to the FPPUD list of rates and fees.
So it's the exact same change we just changed in the bylaws?
It's
We're
just on
applying to
there,
the rates and fees, so we're
so,
just adding Kurt's drop in that.
Director Schomburg.
so I move that we change our list of rates and fees to reflect the readopted, resolution of bylaws and rules and regulations.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 500. Motion carried. Discussion and vote on update to the FPPUD financial policy.
Okay. Trying to make these quick and concise. So
Thank
if
you for putting it in red, it makes it really easy.
Okay, oh, you're welcome. I don't know if you remember back in December 2017, when we were doing the planning application, this policy was required, something Carlos said was required for the application, so that's why we have it in existence. So, for the transparency, we needed to have a financial policy, so what I did is instead of creating a different one, I just added the bits that apply to this policy. So I merged, almost like a merger, so what we're doing is just adding a little more wording to this
Right.
policy, so
Okay.
it acts as the policy that they require for transparency. So everything in black is what was previously adopted, and again, the changes are in red. But if you see anything that doesn't make sense, let me know.
Is it actually called capital replacement reserve account? I just changed this yesterday. I can't remember. I wish we had Lindsay here still. Where's my, trying to find it. Do you have our banking resolution handy? Can you grab it for us?
I don't think they put this way I can get it. I think I can get it here.
I see one issue on D. It needs to be, will be funded at least twice a year for the emergency reserve account.
Yeah,
We're funding it more often than that right now to
Yeah.
try to catch up.
yeah, so
So you wanna put at least?
At least,
at least, yeah.
at a minimum of twice a year.
And then
I
get
just
rid
need-
of the November and May.
No, keep the November and May. We need to do it in November and May, however, if we forget, however, if we do more often, that's fine. I still have a question, I can't vote on this without looking at our board policy, because I have a question about capital replacement reserve. I don't
The
think it's-
title?
Yeah, I don't think it's called that.
Yeah, it's, I'm getting into it, it's just slow.
Oh, it is, I lied. Capital
I was gonna say,
replacement,
wouldn't it be on the financials?
replacement spelled weird, but capital replacement reserve, yeah, it is called that. Capital replacement reserve, it's just not called an account, but they're all accounts, so that's fine.
Just missing a bank statement.
I forgot we changed that from the pipeline account.
She's missing a bank statement.
So capital replacement reserve account.
Yes,
Alright.
an emergency reserve account, which is
Oh, I
fine.
gotta check this.
So you make a motion?
Sure. You wanna make it? Make it, I make too many.
Okay, I move, we accept the,
With the-
financial policy for budget control, financial reports, reserve accounts, reporting, and periodic reviews
With my amendment.
with the amendments by Director Schoenberg.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good job on that motion.
Oh, you hear that?
Review and approve the meeting minutes for 8/9/2018.
I didn't get a chance to do
I'm
it.
slacking, I didn't look at it at all.
I looked at page 1, I know.
I didn't even make it through all the financials.
Slacker.
I was late.
So, you want to
So-
table or you want to approve with amendments for later?
Well, we can take a minute and look.
Okay.
You been working on the, fencing quotes?
Yeah, well, I called, but I couldn't get anything done this quick.
But no more intruders, right? No more.
No, nobody's come back.
Campers?
Yeah, no. Luckily.
Did, we get anywhere with, Dee at getting the, meter replacement stuff down to,
I don't know, that's Carlos's
yeah,
deal, and him and Carlos had a couple of email exchanges, and Dee had said that he was gonna get it to him, so I'm not sure exactly where we
How
are
about-
with
Did
that.
you get the old,
the
two old
Tom
trucks down
Dodson.
No,
for credit yet?
I didn't.
How about Tom
We've been
Dodson?
kind of running crazy. We've had a lot of leaks and a lot of stuff going on, and just really busy, so haven't really done the extra stuff. We're kind of racing the clock to before winter, trying to get some stuff done. We have to rebuild some booster houses, finish this main line. And every time we plan it, we start getting other leaks that put off other stuff.
Did we get the new check machine for deposits?
Yeah.
How's it working?
Cassandra does it. She loves it, and apparently she's got good luck with feeding checks, because apparently sometimes they
They
don't
can
feed
get
through
chewed
so
up?
great. No, just sometimes they stick in there. But Cassandra seems to have the knack.
Well, she's the person that needs to have
She
it, right?
is. She loves it though. She's very happy with it.
And the phone training went well?
Yeah, it was really easy.
While we're reading along on page 3, number 11. Oh no, actually it's okay, both. I think it needs an of. On both these items are needed to submit the application to the state. I think it needs to say both of these items.
Yeah, I agree.
Both of them.
I don't think it matters. But
Go ahead and add it.
I'm just being negative, you know?
I like both of them. It's funner.
Looks good to me.
You know, on page 4, number 9, I don't know why it seems like there's something wrong with that sentence, but maybe. Oh no, I guess it's good.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Director
You guys
Sherman?
done?
Well, I'm not quite done, but
You done, Director Garcia?
Not quite.
Okay, I'll wait a minute.
well, you know you catch more than either one of us. Are you ready to make a motion?
I'll start the motion while Director Garcia is still reading, and he can yell if he catches anything. So, I move that we approve the minutes for Thursday, August 9th, 2018, 6 p.m. with the amendments given, with the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other areas or other errors that we may not have caught or that may need to be corrected.
I second that.
All in favor? 5-0, motion carried. Take photos of the FPPUD Board of Directors.
So can't we close, do we need to keep the meeting open while we do that?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But I-
Although
I
you're
don't know
gonna
what
take
to
some
do.
of us all sitting here as a meeting,
I
right?
thought we could bring our own in.
You can.
Do you tell me how you wanna do it?
I mean, I'd like to replace, because we never fixed the one of all of us, so I think we definitely need to take a couple of those.
Well, really, you guys are the board clerk, board members. You guys all line up. I'll take a picture of all of you guys on the website.
That's not fair.
I'm just
I'll
saying.
switch it.
Well,
I'm
what
filthy
I'm-
dirty. I
What
can't
I'm
do it.
saying is that we have somewhere on that website a picture from
Of an
the
empty
audience
Or
of the entire board conducting a board meeting, and I think we need to retake that photo if people are
That's an
willing
old
right
one.
now.
Yeah, because
It's
Gina's in
old.
that photo,
Yeah,
right?
it's really old.
And Jerry.
I'm gonna remove my food.
What?
Oh, I'll move my coffee cup and my water. Hey, let me look more organized first.
A minute.
Yeah, can I?
No, wait a minute, now, then they're gonna think we didn't do anything.
Why? Perfect.
controlled chaos.
Controlled
Controlled
chaos.
chaos, is that what it is?
That's my style right there. I don't know if it's even controlled or just chaos.
You gotta have chaos, but
I gotta see if I can sign on tonight.
Controlled chaos.
Gotta sign on the computer?
Yeah, cause I gotta make some.
so if anybody doesn't have a
$20.
picture at home you wanna give me and you want me or Johnny to take a picture, we can do it here.
It doesn't
too.
have to be full body, right?
No, it's
No.
your face that's important.
We can just do it each position with a name tag or whatever.
It's okay.
Whoever's comfortable, I just want it as comfortable as everybody feels, so.
I'm ready
Well,
when
it's
you
completely
are.
uncomfortable. No, I wanna get lipstick on.
Go ahead
and
and
clean up
take
my
my
space.
picture.
Now,
Yeah.
Jerry's
Becky's asking.
I gotta go to the bathroom too.
Well, why don't you take just his first?
well,
Oh, look, let's take it with me having this pile of checks in front of me.
Before we take all of the group one, if you wanna take his.
yeah, I'm just waiting for the,
People to get out from behind me.
because then.
I don't want Jerry
there's
putting
wanna
a
see-
peace sign behind my head.
Oh, come on, Bull. You killjoy.
Okay, that's,
Peace.
I'm gonna look dead anyway, so it doesn't matter.
okay, I got a couple, do you wanna look and see if you
Sure.
like it?
I just always look
I know I
very
look
white.
handsome.
No, you're
so,
looking
you know.
embarrassed or something.
I
You're a little
actually
flushed
shaved.
right
That's
now.
a good picture.
I just look
actually
so
shaved.
white.
Where
That's
did you go on
fine.
vacation?
That's a really good
Nice.
picture.
Yeah,
Um,
use that
Got a
one.
nice camera on that.
There's plenty
Yeah.
of sun there.
No, it was all
I'm
smoke.
mine.
What?
Sorry.
No, 'cause of all the big fires up there.
Right now.
I got my ass.
Did I get his name
kicked
in the
up
thing?
so bad.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Do you have
You
a
want your nameplate in there?
inhaler? Did you have to use it?
Oh, lots.
Big time. Is there a limit how
I'm gonna
much you
get
can
a
use that?
better angle too.
There's a
Oh, this cord's. It'd be better here. I'm trying to
there's
get.
one that I
the trash can behind
twice
you
a
'cause,
day,
you
and
know.
then there's one in between.
The
Right.
albuterol
Who wants a
and the
trash
albuterol.
bag?
Yeah.
Is that the in between?
No,
Okay.
that's one you can pretty much
Do any
do. Yeah, every
like
hours.
emergency or something?
Right.
Okay, what do you think of that one?
Yeah.
No.
Where's your
Read
best
it.
smile?
No?
Come on, live your
No,
best
that's
life
horrible.
right now.
Delete that, please.
Delete.
Oh, God.
I'm living my best life right
I-
now, darling.
Not put my arms up on the.
You are living your best life right now. Tired.
Tired still.
Yeah.
A lot of naps.
Good thing I
Doesn't wanna focus.
shaved before I came
Nice.
here.
Well, I told you last night.
Yeah, that's why I shaved this morning.
Ooh, I look awful. Take somebody else's and come back to me. Delete that.
You just
Slap you around.
smile, a really big.
Slap you
Smile,
around
you
a
can
little.
smile.
I do not
Get
take
some
good
color.
photos. I look like I'm sick.
Who else wanted a
It
photo?
doesn't help them.
I guess
You
you
want
have to do
Terry,
mine,
she,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's perfect.
Yours turned out.
She's got a little color right now.
Maybe
Because
some lighting.
you always judge your photo anyways, like, oh, I don't like this about me or that. So I just like,
Yours
take the
looks
photo.
great.
Yeah.
See, the nice thing about Director Killing's,
Terry
if I
Lynn.
do it like this, she has the flag behind her,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
she really
color.
looks like a nice.
Say cheese. You
Well,
look
that's
like a
just-
real
you know-
American.
Well, like,
I found
do you
out
like this one or do you want to zoomed in more? I wanted the flag. That's why I thought it was kind of.
they
Okay, she's easy.
I learned
Yeah, I'm not-
that
I'm gonna die.
with
Jerry,
the-
you're the only one that's not wearing your
Wait,
You
shirt.
want
with
your
the kids
picture now? You want to
I
send me?
watch.
Go ahead.
Wait, the reason they have you say cheese, because when you say cheese, it automatically brings up the E, brings up your cheeks. Because one of the little boys I watched,
You
he
should go
he
put
can't
your
smile, so
Oh, that's
we're
it.
constantly doing
your shirt on.
E
I could
things
send the
Yeah.
photo.
and having him suck through a straw to strengthen these muscles.
Interesting.
Oh,
That's a
perfect.
good idea.
And that's why people go
Yeah,
say
that's
cheese.
I mean,
I wonder where that came from.
Pictures, Becky. I'm not happy.
El
with
Guapo.
that.
It's an automatic thing.
Come on, boy, you're making me
I'll
blush.
eventually need your picture.
Just suck it up.
Suck it up, baby girl.
Here, come sit by the flag.
got it.
and
Come
we'll
on,
look
little
better.
red.
Maybe I should put my seat up.
Oh, thank you for calling me little, that's
I feel
nice.
like I'm.
Liar.
Stop it. Okay, short red.
We'll take one of me outside.
That's my nickname, Short and Irish.
Outside
There you go.
in the
In the
truck.
daytime, another time.
You know, I'm behind this, you know,
I saw some
Okay,
pictures of a nice
let's hurry up.
party at your house.
working manager.
I think it was your brother was there.
We don't need to
Huh?
be here all
Saw
night,
a nice
and I gotta
picture
get on the
of-
computer.
Oh, you're trying not to get the trash can.
Yes.
Yeah, if
Party
you
at
agree with me.
I saw all the
Oh, it
So
was
you
an
have wires
awesome
and
party.
shoes and
Was that
stuff.
your brother, the one you like?
Okay,
Oh,
are you
both of
going
my
to
brothers, yes.
smile?
That I love them.
Wow, well, to
There
see
you go.
They
Take
can
a
That
send me
looks
a surprise birthday
nice.
party.
That's
in their
nice.
house.
I like this one.
Oh, that's fine.
Selfie,
Ugly,
baby.
but-
Selfie stick. Little
saying
selfie
that.
stick.
Did you get Becky already?
No.
Geez, I said,
Oh, then you know how to take selfies, so you've got it.
I take terrible selfies.
I do too.
Okay.
But I
You
don't
wanna
know the
move the
knack of
checks
it.
their way, or you?
You want me to? Okay.
No, this way you know you've done something.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. It shows your,
I'll take my phone off so I'm not like,
Do you have the flag in your picture too?
sure.
I don't care.
It's over your phone.
Sure, great.
Okay.
Done.
Did you get a full boardroom one, John?
No, I was, waiting until everybody was ready. You want me to take yours?
No.
No. Are we gonna have the
Hey, girl, come on,
back over here?
Behind my picture. Let's see if we can do that.
Oh, we can do the one. Jerry, you gotta look.
I might have to go.
Stand on the
Here's in headlights.
chair or something.
Okay.
Go.
That one. Unless we want them to get all in close together, otherwise.
He said, "No,
Look sharp, boy. You looking sharp.
Lisa's not looking.
He wasn't looking.
Come
Uh-oh.
on, Lisa.
What?
Trying to do a working thing.
1, 2.
Oh, working
Cheese.
pose.
Yeah, there you go.
Please.
That looks good. That's a good one.
Okay.
Chase.
You see? I hate pictures of myself.
We all do. You're not the only one.
Yours just went off.
I'm like, how did I get old?
You're light or something.
Right.
from
Who
your-
was that person looking back at me in the mirror?
You
Because
didn't
that's
take
not
the
me.
pictures of
No,
us?
I look in the mirror and I say, oh my God, it's my mom.
Believe it or not, that really helps at night when I'm sleeping and I get an emergency phone call.
Yeah, to find the phone.
No, it wakes me up.
Okay,
You without no noise?
I turned the ringer down, so.
Okay.
We're right here, we're here tonight.
Well, no, I
Any future
turned- I
agenda
signed-
items?
Any future agenda items?
Thank you.
When are we gonna start having the second? When?
As soon as Dave tells us that we have,
second
funding
meeting.
again.
Okay. Do we have a, we don't know, right?
Don't know.
Till we get funding.
Tell the state.
Anything we need to add for the next meeting?
We didn't discuss anything that we needed to add, did we? You know, if we're gonna be talking to Pierre in 2 months,
That needs to be 2 months from now.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be November.
in November, that's when our meeting gets like, and then we're around the holidays, but 2 months is good if we make him wait longer. At least we know we're
Actually, we
working
do
on it.
need to add,
Who's Pierre?
well, actually, we can do it in November, but on the November agenda, we need to add what we're doing for the, we always do something for the, November and December for the.
October, oh
already
yeah, we
agreed
need
with
to talk
that.
about that.
Perpetual turkey? like
Yeah, we
I
already
said.
approved the
Turkey.
Just not the
turkey
party.
slash ham. Turkey or ham. Employees.
Yeah.
So you guys don't have to do it every year.
Oh, so it's done already?
Look at last year's.
Yeah, it
Was
was-
it
it
was
was-
it forever turkey or if it was that
It
year?
was so whenever they come available cheap enough before the holiday that we could,
I think we did, but there was like some amount on it, but I don't remember.
I don't know. I
just
don't
a
remember being
reasonable
here.
amount. You know, I'm not gonna go to Albertsons to buy the turkeys. I'll go to Walmart or Winco.
And you're not gonna go to Honey Big Ham to buy a ham.
So November could be
No,
Christmas.
whatever's at the market, Winco or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's too soon to think about that. So we have October, November, December for this year. When do we want to talk about the January increase? Do we wanna wait till December, put it in November?
Maybe we should start talking about it.
We should start talking
December?
about it.
No, we
October?
probably have to know-
November.
November
No, we better start talking
or
about it.
October?
October.
We can October.
Yeah, 'cause we don't want that
At least-
November one so bogged down with stuff, right?
The only thing to talk about would be whether or not to
Delay it.
do the increase, which I think it would be nice if John Vandenberg was still available,
I-
just to maybe he could be part of that meeting and give us maybe some ideas on how to alter that without it affecting the legality of the rate study.
Yeah, because we
Go.
really didn't plan on, we planned on having some other people as a part of this district sooner than we thought. I mean, we thought we were gonna possibly relook at that. And we've already gone through
2 years.
2 increases,
No,
so.
one increase.
One
Well,
year.
yeah, I mean, the initial one, and then,
And then
And
one
then-
year,
10%.
So,
which, I'm cool with it, tell you the truth, if it seems like we're doing okay, I'm cool with it, as long as we don't violate the law, is all I care about.
Yeah, well, we can delay it. I don't think it's a
it's not
problem,
it's not a law that we're violating if we
but delay it for a year.
delay it, but cause we had already talked to him about
Well,
that.
let's put it on the agenda so we
Yeah.
can talk
Great
about it.
idea.
October.
Right.
The
Yeah.
next regular meeting,
Okay.
Anything as the end of the year.
yeah.
October.
December is.
This letter to the paper is very inflammatory. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yes. Your response was great.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
response
Thank
was
you.
very good.
Good job on that one.
appreciate that.
There's so many
I
holes in
mean,
his
for
story.
somebody to say he's gonna chase us with pitchforks.
Right?
and,
Yeah, that's just
What was that all
chase
about?
the monster.
the monster, the
Wow.
Frankenstein monster.
I also, just as a side note, I've asked Tiffany to start putting those, I decided we do need to put his side too. We'll put print them off the Mountain Enterprise website, but if we put the letters to the editor that's been responded to on our website, then it shows what people have already said and the response already, so possibly I won't have to go into it.
Say it
over-
over.
Can't hurt to
Yeah.
hope, but really, Johnny? Yeah, it's good to put it on the website, but you know.
But it shows
But
us transparent.
it shows transparency, and I think
Uh-huh.
that the pond stuff does need to be on the website because it just gets reiterated over and over, and
Yeah.
it's like people can read that.
They're
That's
beating that
already-
dead pond.
And you notice how many people were here.
I don't know, but
Okay,
it's but
Point
for,
of order. Point of order.
Do I hear a
I'll
motion
trade
for
the meeting.
adjournment?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in,
8:21. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
8:21. Motion carried. 500. 8:21.
well,